much. With me now is the independent senator from Maine, Angus King. He does caucus with the Democrats. More importantly, he's a member of this Senate Intelligence Committee. Senator King, it's good to see you. I want to put up a statement from the current acting chair of the Intelligence Committee. It's Marco Rubio. And here's what he said. We can say without any hesitation that the committee found absolutely no evidence that then-candidate Donald Trump or his campaign colluded with the Russian government to meddle in the 2016 election, unquote. Senator King, do you agree with Senator Rubio's assessment? And if you do, then what part of Paul Manafort is not part of the Trump campaign?
I don't agree with that statement. I don't know whether Marco Rubio read the same report I did, but here, for an example, you touched on this. At the time that Paul Manafort was the campaign chair, there's a documented meeting with Konstantin Kilimnik, now we know a Russian intelligence agent, where he handed over detailed polling data, internal polling data. And here's one of the problems, Chuck. Those of us in the political business understand when you hear the word polling data, it means more than who's up and who's down and whether Hillary's ahead by 2 points or Donald Trump by 5 points. Detailed internal polling data is a roadmap of the campaign. It's a blueprint. Where are you strong? Where are you weak? What are the issues? What demographics? What geographic areas? What are the battleground states? That's about as clear a coordination, if you will. It was an invitation to the Russians. Here's how you can help us. Now, again, I disagree with Marco Rubio's statement. I just think the facts speak for themselves. And you were talking about Roger Stone's role. There's also a telling moment in the report where Rick Gates, who was Manafort's assistant, was in the car with Donald Trump on the way to LaGuardia. He remembers it in detail. Trump is on the phone with Roger Stone. And he turns at the end of the conversation to Gates and says, there will be more coming from WikiLeaks. Well, that's a pretty clear indication that candidate Trump, via Roger Stone, knew what was going on. So I don't agree with Marco Rubio's characterization to say there was no, I mean, the key, is it cooperation? Is it a conspiracy? Is it coordination? Is it collusion? I don't care what you call it, but the reality is that there were these multiple contacts that are detailed in this 1,000-page report that make it clear that the government, that the Trump campaign was involved in coordinating in some way, shape, or form with the Russians.
Senator King, you know the phrase justice delayed is justice denied. The timing of the release of this report arguably couldn't be better for Donald Trump, if you will, right? Can come across as old news. Oh, we're way past that. Where are all these other things? What took so long? Why did this take so long to get out to the public?
Well, one of the reasons it took so long, Chuck, was that it's comprehensive. We went through literally, I think, 1 million pages of documents, hundreds of interviews, and there were places along the line where we were stonewalled by the White House, where they were exerting executive privilege for things that happened before the president was the executive, before he was elected, and that certainly slowed things down. So we wanted to do it fairly and straightforwardly and really go into sufficient detail. But this isn't only a historical document. This is there are a set of recommendations back around page 930, I think, about what we should do in the future. And one of the most important to me is, if you're in a campaign and you are offered help or assistance or intervention by a foreign government, you report it to the FBI right then. You don't assess whether it's good or bad or whether it'll help you. You report it right then. And we've tried to get that into law, haven't been able to.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Beat the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.